Hi, today is Thursday, November 16th, 2024. I just got back from my China trip on late Monday evening, and I just made up, or I linked all the photos and videos together with nice Chinese music and produced a long one, close to 2 hour video and uploaded it onto YouTube. So you can look for it. It's KT Park, or you can just subscribe and tap on my name on YouTube, and then you can see it or watch the video. By the way, I've done the family constellation therapy about about 3 weeks ago, and like 4 weeks, 3 weeks ago, and I would like to know more about the therapy. I believe there's some misrepresentation in the therapy, but nonetheless, I got relieved, and I got more insight into the possibility of the real causes of my atopic dermatitis or eczema and a constant or persistent headache, permanent headache, kind of persistent. So let's find out the problems and dangers with family constellation. And I am trying to read this article to practice English by reading it aloud. I am Korean. I am not a native speaker, so I have to study English every day. This article was prepared by Vincent Sarr, September 5th, 2023. Family constellation is one of the modalities that I deem to be really effective because of how versatile it is, and it also works on various layers that are underneath just what's shown. See, what's a family constellation? Versatile, various layers, right? Works on versatile. But at the same time, since it's an unregulated modality like the coaching industry, there are also various stories of its dangers and issues, leading to some schools of teaching rejecting this modality entirely, despite when executed well, it can be highly effective. When executed well, it can be highly effective. Let's remember the sentence. I like the sentence, right? When executed well, it can be quite effective. It can be highly effective. Yeah, highly, the word highly, I need to use that word. When executed well, it can be highly effective. Well, when it's executed well, it can be highly effective. There are hearsays on its problems I have heard before, and also my thoughts on it. Inaccurate representation. Since the dynamic of the family constellation often uses a representative's intuition to sense what's happening or what's happening underneath the surface of the deeper emotional level, there can be mistakes. In other schools of thought, like a satire or psychodrama, there's quite a lot of emphasis on using client's language, or the clients only speak a certain phrase if it resonates. This ensures the whole process represents what belongs to the client instead of what others think they are, resulting in a more effective process. Let me repeat this. This ensures the whole process represents what belongs to the client instead of what others think they are, resulting in a more effective process. However, when I speak to experienced facilitators about this issue, they often say when representatives bring their own stuff into the field doesn't move very well. It gets stuck, and the quietness and flow of the field just stops. Where an experienced pair of eyes would be able to differentiate what relatively easily. Where an experienced pair of eyes would be able to differentiate what relatively easily, right? Where an experienced pair of eyes, that's another good expression. Where an experienced pair of eyes would be able to differentiate that relatively easily. Dynamic, not dynamics, right? The dynamic. If the participants have enough self-awareness, too, they would know whether they are moving with the field by bringing in what's both the representative and themselves. Since the participant often has what the representative has, versus the participant forcing something in due to personal interest. For example, I need to have my things in right now since it's unsafe, since it's necessary. If the participants have enough self-awareness too, they would know whether they are moving with the field by bringing in what's both in the representative and themselves. Since the participant often has what the representative has, versus the participant forcing something in due to personal interest. Future prediction. I've heard more than one case where the experienced facilitator speak about how a family constellation is being used as a fortune-telling case. Below is a hearsay I've heard from my experienced facilitator. Hearsay. Fortune-telling case. What's the company's future revenue? The client asked. The facilitator picked the representatives. The representative moved on their own and they sorted themselves from short to tall. Can you see the body size of these representatives goes from smaller to bigger? It must mean your revenue will go into billions, the facilitator replied. I don't know how accurate was the prediction, but my understanding is the founder doesn't use it for such an intent. My understanding of the intent of family constellation is to move and shift the energy underneath, so there's more choice, empowerment, and possibilities, like how in various therapeutic modalities we would let go of emotion and shift our understanding of a past instance. It's not an assurance of the future for us, so we can keep holding on to our stuff. Right? It's not an assurance of the future. Hold on to our stuff. Possibilities. Shift, move and shift the energy underneath. Move and shift the energy underneath. Other various ways of misguidance. The last point is just the family constellation can be very much like therapy, where there's emotional movement, and sometimes it's deeper than that. When people start taking on this tool, claiming themselves as a facilitator without training, there can be very many stories of things going off track. There could be many stories of things going off track. Another good expression. There can be many stories of things going off track. Not off tracks, but going off track. Conceptual, right? There can be many stories of things going off track. Commercialization. You are now at our $200 course, which only resolves a family origins issue. We've detected that this is karmic related. Join our next level class, which costs $3,000, or $3K. While this is a viable business model, it doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit. It doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me. With a constellation field flows, you flow and follow where the energy is moving. A responsible facilitator won't stop a constellation halfway and ask for more money before continuing. It's pretty disruptive. It doesn't sit well with me. Lacking in psychological foundation, a facilitator had a representative channel and said the effect of the problem child is due to the mom's ancestral lineage. It resulted in the husband and blaming the wife. In settings, I've seen that's done right. I see facilitators make it a point to resolve what's showing up. And when it doesn't get resolved, there's a sufficient debriefing on it so the participants feel complete. There's also explanation and clarity on how it's hardly ever just one cause to an effect. Right. That's good. Debriefing, right? Done right. First, make it a point. Make it. That's another good expression I would like to remember. Here. I see facilitators make it a point to resolve what's showing up. Make it a point. It doesn't sit well with me. Lacking in regulation. A teacher of mine had shared how he would met someone who really misused the tool. So he asked the facilitator where he got his training from. The reply was, I can facilitate constellation just by watching 3 videos online. I'm such a spiritual person. Conclusion. Solution? Choose credible facilitators. Recommendations from people from you know and trust. Then attend a smaller session and see if the facilitator's energy resonates before committing on a larger scale. I think choosing all courses should be done in such a way. A real simple gauge is just whether the space is coming from love or fear. That's another good sentence, man. A real simple gauge is just whether the space is coming from love or fear. A really simple gauge is whether the field is coming from love or fear. A proper facilitator would be able to guide participants to see how everything comes from love. There would be minimal blame, judgment, shame, and guilt, but a lot of responsibility, forgiveness, and healing, right? Blame, judgment, shame, guilt, responsibility, forgiveness, and healing. Well, this was an honest article from Family Constellation Facilitator. We got to be careful. The representative can bring in their own stuff. We got before I close this article and upload it on YouTube, I would like to go over the expressions that I decided to remember. I see a facilitators making a point, right? It doesn't sit well with me. The real simple gauge is whether the field is coming from love or fear. It doesn't sit well with me. Judgment, blame, what else? What else I decided to remember? Modalities, versatile, regulated despite, when executed well, it can be highly effective. When executed well, it can be highly effective. Inaccurate representation. Very well, it gets stuck. Quietness, flow. Participant often has what the representative has. It's not a fortune telling, right? It's not a fortune telling case. Misguidance. For many stories, things going off. There can be many stories of things going off track. There can be many stories of things going off track. Commercialization, constellation field flows, stop halfway. Psychologically showing up, lacking in regulation. Smaller session resonates. If the facilitator's energy resonates before committing on a larger scale. Well, that's it. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye. I will read another article in the evening after I finish with Chinese class for the day. I go to Chinese school in Gwangju. It's called Gwangju Chinese School. It's just across from the Lotte department store or Letian department store, or near the Gwangju Bank, the Gwangju Bank's headquarters.